Omo, it's so sad. Rufai broke down in tears today, and honestly, when you see the reason behind it, it makes sense.
Right, Rufai, this has generated significant reaction. I mean, the presidency argues the reforms were necessary to reset a broken system. But for millions of Nigerians, the bigger question remains, when do these macroeconomic gains translate into cheaper food, lower transport costs, and better living standards? And I'll take one reaction before I come to you, Rufai. This is from Bims, who wrote on X. The best measure of economic reforms isn't what leaders say, it's what citizens experience. I mean, that really is what it is. You wanted to respond.
Yes, you said it all. C'est fini là-bas.
Right.
It's what citizens feel. You see, the problem with the reforms is the fact that there's been lack of transparency and truth in the process. Oji, President Tinubu announced subsidy gone in 2023. Do you know that he continued paying subsidy despite telling Nigerians that the reason why they announced subsidy gone was because it was not in the budget? NMPC record shows that 7.1 trillion was paid in subsidy. Do you know what they did, Oji? They hide the name. They didn't call it subsidy. You know what they called it? Energy security expenses. You see this level of lack of transparency. Energy security expenses. It was just like when Buhari government came in. You know, Buhari said something was a scam, it didn't exist and everything. When he's also started playing subsidy, you know what he called it? Under recovery. So it is this lack of transparency that kills this country. And Ayo, I get your points. I don't want people to suffer. I play in that space. I do a lot of advocacy for people. But Ayo, we need to jolt our leaders. Ayo, what happened to this country? We are seeing the likes of the Machimogu. We have seen the likes of Malami, forfeiture and everything. We need to jolt our country back. Ayo, I cry for Nigeria this morning. Let me read something to you. Why I'm crying, why I scream sometimes for this country. On the 23rd of December, 1974, Nigeria signed a long-term borrowing agreement with the World Bank. Under this agreement, Nigeria provided $240 million in net resources to the World Bank reserves. And we're borrowing World Bank money.
We were lending.
We're lending World Bank money to do development projects for other countries. In 1975, we also lent 120 million to the IMF. This country was not depending on aid in the 70s. I feel like crying this morning. What has happened to this country? And because people are looting the country dry? The same country that was lending World Bank money, $240 million in the 70s. In that same 70s, do you know that Britain was going to the World Bank to loan money because they had an economic crisis? That time we were lending them money.
All right.
Honestly, that is heavy because at this point, we just have to call a spade a spade. People are suffering and it is showing, but the president keeps saying reforms are working. Meanwhile, people are not feeling it in their pockets, in their homes. It is just like what Dr. Abati used to say, that how exactly do we measure that it is working when the CBN governor keeps saving money, but the people are suffering? Now, think about it like this. Imagine a father who keeps saving up money while watching his own family go hungry. That is basically the picture being painted here. And like Rufai said, we used to lend the World Bank money. So what changed? Meanwhile, we have had people like Malami accused of looting billions of naira. And the sad part, it is not just Malami. Because reforms are working, they say, yet poor Nigerians are being asked to share their own personal money. Now, while I was going through all this, I stumbled on something else, and it is about what Sowore revealed about Femi Gbajabiamila, and it has generated a lot of reactions online. So people are asking right now, if everything Sowore said about this man is actually on public record, how did he even get to this level? Listen to this.
It was a surprise to me. The reason that was that when I was actively publishing on Sahara Reporters as an investigative reporter, I came upon the first story of Femi Gbajabiamila having stolen his his client's money, $25,000.
The same Femi Gbajabiamila?
Yes.
The same
Femi Gbajabiamila.
Are you sure it's the same person?
Yes. So in Atlanta.
He stole 25,000
from one of his clients. And that was what led him to run away from the US. Came back to Nigeria. And
what year was this?
This must have been in the 2000s. I can't remember the exact year. So when I did the story, I never knew who he was. And then someone called me. Abikadabiri.
The same honorable.
Yes, he said that Sowore, I knew him when we were student union. He used to work at NTA.
That's you knew her.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, I knew her. And I said, I haven't heard from you in a while. And he said, what did my brother do to you? I said, who's your brother? I said, Baja now. He said, there's a story that you wrote about him on Sarah Reporter. Is there any way we can do to help him? Oh, wow. I said, so you know a thief? She laughed. And that was the last I heard of the story. So I wasn't surprised. In fact, if you read the excerpts of the investigation that was done, Baja actually, in an attempt to cover up, got money from Lagos and tried to pay back the money. So as to cover up the crime. In Atlanta, Georgia. So
it was disbarred by the Georgia State.
As a result of that,
Wow.
yes, this is public record. Wow. You can look for it and read it. So, not surprised. And this is how Nigeria got to where it is, by recruiting criminals to lead the country in various sectors.
Yes. You mean the story is public?
It is public, yeah.
So how did Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila become elected as House of Reps member, became not just House of Reps member, majority leader, and then he became speaker?
Ask yourself, how did Tinubu become president? How did he become senator, governor, and president? Without a real age, a real certificate that we know of, and with the baggage of drug trafficking. How did Dapo Abiodun become governor? With the baggage of a drug conviction in the US as well.
You mean the governor of Ogun State? Has a drug conviction
of course, in the US. So a lot of these guys who are now within our political leadership system are ex-convicts, former criminals, con men, former niners, drug dealers, money launderers. That's where Nigeria is today. If you look at the majority of their backgrounds, you dig and find out that they've been involved in one criminal activity or the other. That's why they get upset when people like us call them criminal, because they know that we have the force of facts and evidence behind it, including a moral declaration that they cannot get over. So, are you then surprised that Baja took 400 million naira from somebody and he still left?
It's an allegation, not proven yet.
Well, my lawyer, Femi Falana, is the one helping the prince to prove his case. In the back end, we have already seen all the evidence. Yes, of how the transaction, you have mentioned some of it, how the person who transferred the money was killed, and the house where the transaction, the hotel where it took place, has been pulled down because there are other criminal networks involved that are interested in covering this up. Don't forget that there are several other persons who have made allegations against Baja about how he extorts money from them. I know of a case that I can tell you here, that when the guy was appointed to head NEFund, he said the pressure was so much.
NEFund, the loan organization.
Yes. He said, Baja was very clear. There's been another story of a guy, Obaze, who was investigating Buhari's former private secretary, that one that used to sell Richard Card, who became a billionaire. Tunde Sabiu, they call him Tunde Idiagbon, was born around the time Idiagbon was deputy to Buhari. And Obaze was investigating him. He had already agreed to part with some money, properties, and at the point, they said, but I sent a message to him. I mentioned to him that he should not talk to Obaze anymore. He should talk to him directly. And they can settle this. That was how Tunde Idiagbon never appeared in the radar of the corrupt guy. Even that happened. Baja was the one who killed that investigation, took his own share of the money.
This is just allegation, Sowore.
When you're talking to Sowore, you can remove allegation from, because I exist. You can come and sue me if you think I lied against you. That's why you see, I get upset. Absolutely upset when I see the justice system, the security system weaponized against all these small boys who send people to prison when the real criminals, are there. There's a boy we just went and freed yesterday. He said he cloned the voice of the president. He's been in jail for 2 months. We got him freed yesterday. There's a guy they called DJ Chicken in Lagos. So he said he wants to kill Sheyi Tinubu. How is that? You see, even if somebody threatens to kill somebody, and the police gets there and discover he doesn't have the capacity, you don't even arrest the person. But these guys are just social media content creators. And trust me, if these content creators don't exist, we will have no economy that keeps them busy. Imagine if all these guys are also engaging in terrorism, because there's now an entire economics model that is helping Nigeria that Nigeria hasn't really paid attention to.
But they shouldn't break the law anyway. Even
there's no law broken.
But let's focus on this.
The real law breakers are the ones we are mentioning now.
I want you to,
the ones who can pull down hotels where very egregious criminal transactions took place, and they got away with it.
Now, just imagine all that. Several allegations already in the public space, and the part where he allegedly stole $25,000 from a client in the US. This is exactly what Professor Odikalu was talking about in his interview with SYMFONI, when he said the presidency is being run like an organized crime ring. And I want to ask you, is this what Professor Odikalu meant by an organized crime? Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, share.